Okay, so this is a documentation of how I'm going to try to translate a picture that Carl gave me. And I'm actually going to do this as batt nests rather than one gradient batt this time. So this is a picture of, it's from Game of Thrones. It's a picture of Viserion, and it has the White Walker riding on him. So the Night King, I guess you would call him. So I am going to start with the general idea of a gradient that's going to go black or like a charcoal to blues, and then there's going to be white to mimic snowflakes, and I'm going to put blue speckling heavy in the white to give it that snow kind of feel. So there'll be, I'm planning right now 3 shades of the gradient colors, and it may branch out to 4, it might stay 3, we'll see. So I'm going to start with natural white merino. I use commercial dyed black merino. I think it gets a much better deep black without felting. And then I have an entire bin of pre-dyed blue colors over here. So this is part of my bin of blues that I'm going to be picking from. So just drag this over to the carter, and I'm going to get started. Okay, so here's my commercial black. And so since this is going to mostly be my charcoal color, I'm going to go ahead and just layer on a base layer of black on the carter. So let's see if I can. Okay, I think that gives a good look at what's going on here. Okay, so now I'm going to give it a layer of white. And I'm going to go over it again with a layer of black. Okay, so that's 3 layers so far, and you can see the gap here. It's still pretty far down. There's a lot of space left on here. If I had to guess, I would say that there's probably about 1 ounce that's on there as a base layer, but because that's there, I can start looking at what I'm going to add for texture. So I'm going to look for some tussa silk. And I'm going to look for some Noil and see about adding them in. And the blue shades that I'm looking for are like a navy, a kind of bright aqua-ish blue, and then kind of a middle snowy, light baby blue. So those are the colors that I'm going to be looking at mixing in here in the midst of charcoal to make it kind of pop. So I'm going to dig through my blue bin and see what I can come up with. Okay, so the first thing that I found was this is Caribbean blue. My 2 a.m. lighting is not the best, but it's a really nice bright blue. I'm going to strip it down, and I'm actually going to just run it bypassing the brush, and I'm going to paint it on. I still want this to be primarily charcoal with just pops of color. So I'm going to give it another thin layer of black. White. Can't see all of the edge here, but I'm trying to go back to the edge here on both sides and give it a pretty even coverage.
Should I hold it to make it?
Okay. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of navy merino, just to kind of give it a bluish undertone, and I'm going to give it a really thin layer all the way across. And now I'm going to use the only gray that I'll actually put in here is going to be some gray bond fleece. So I'm going to grab that out of my bags real quick. Okay, so this is my gray bond. It looks a little bit brown on camera, but that's actually a pretty nice steely gray. And this I'm going to go ahead and put through the liquor in. This is the one thing that my Carter struggles a little bit with, but it's going on pretty well. So that's pretty nice, thin but even coverage across the edges there. And then I have this blend of sari silk. It has the same Caribbean blue running through it, and then some other like more rainbowish colors that are going to pop really well as accent. So this is another one I'm going to paint on the top of the drum, watching my fingers carefully, just giving light pressure as I go across. So looking at the seam here again, I can see that it's getting mostly full. There's some space left, but it's probably 3/4 of the way full now. And so any added texture that I want to put on here, I'm going to want to put on here now. I'm going to put a tiny bit of natural nettle Rainy on here across for texture and drape. It gives a really nice drape, kind of like linen does. So another one of those long batch fibers, but this one's a little bit softer. Okay. And then go ahead and mix in a little bit more white on here. Can you hand me more of that black back there, please? That should be good. Okay. So now I want to add some lighter colors for Noils that will really pop out against the charcoal background. So I'm thinking like a light sea foam green and probably like a pale lavender purple. So I'm gonna go just grab those quick out of the bins and then put those on. Okay, so I found my seafoam color Noil. And I'm gonna go over the top again. And this is where I'm actually going to use the burnishing brush. This is by Clemis and Clemis. Little sparkle stuck in there. And I'm going to use that to push the Noil down in here. And you can see the seam here again. It kind of smoothed it out and gave me a little bit more space to work with. I'm going to use some Wisteria Tussa Silk. And I'm going to sandwich it in with a little bit more black. Can you grab me a tiny bit more right here? More black, right there. Actually, no, just hand me that right there. Okay, sparkle. I had a bag of sparkle sitting here. Okay. I'm using, it's Aurora Crystallina Angelina. It's holographic. And I'm going to take some of this black here and sandwich it in the middle of it. That way it won't stick to the liquor in. More in here. So the last thing I'm going to do is add some lilac. This is tussin oil, which is actually much like finer pieces of oil. It's not quite as nubbly. I'm just going to add in a little bit of that. And right now my drum is pretty full. When I recard it, you can see in the seam here, it's pretty much up to the end of the teeth. When I recard it, what's going to happen is the fleece that I put in it is going to smooth out much more, and I'm going to have a little bit more space to put things on there. So I'm going to pull this off, I'm going to weigh it, and I may add a little bit more black or white on the second pass to change the depth of the color as I see that I need to. So right now I'm going to pull that off, weigh it, and then I'll see what I'm looking at. So here is the big, massive batt that I just pulled off. So I'm going to roll it up, roll it again, and that's what it looks like first pass. See, all sparkly. Okay, and my scale says that it's 4.4 ounces right now. So I am only going to add a small amount if it absolutely needs to be lightened or darkened. So I am going to focus it more on me this time. I'm going to just start stripping it down like this and break it in half. And feed it through side by side like this. So I don't know if you can tell because the light is so bright, but I'm actually filling up all the way across the drum carder with the way that that's split. Do that again, lay it side by side on the tray. Got some nice chunky bond in there. It's trying to break up a little bit. As I pull it apart, you can see the different layers on the inside. And there's a relatively intact bond lock right there. What the drum looks like so far. Is definitely not really evenly distributed yet. but you can see that it's turning gray. Some of the texture popping out. I'm going to go ahead and use my burnishing brush. Again here. Burnishing brush. Can you hand me the little brush with the white right there behind the other curtain? Cleaning up the edge so it doesn't get caught in the crank. Okay, so I think that's mostly what I want it to be like, but I'm going to add a little bit of the Caribbean blue tussa. It's fine. So I'm just going to paint this on the top like I have been before. And I'm grabbing a tiny bit of a bluish grayish purple, kind of smoky colored. So that's after 2 passes. I am going to go ahead and give it a 3rd pass, and that should really even things out. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and I'm going to just do the same thing for pass 3, and then I'll show you the finished batt when it's done.